Sit back, relax, and enjoy listening. The room remained silent long after she left. The air was thick, suffocating with unspoken thoughts. No one moved. Their gazes shifted cautiously toward RK, who sat motionless, his expression unreadable. Jill hesitated before stepping closer. His voice was careful, almost too soft. "RK, are you okay?" For a long moment, there was no response. Then finally RK looked up. His eyes held no emotion, his voice flat. "I'm fine." A pause. "I just need some rest." No one argued. They couldn't. The doctor had already warned them not to force him into remembering anything that could worsen his condition. And yet, she had done exactly that. RK stood, moving toward his room with slow, deliberate steps. The members watched helplessly, their instincts screaming at them to stop him, to say something, anything, but their voices failed them. They didn't know whether to hold him back or let him go. The air grew heavier after RK disappeared behind the door. No one even dared to breathe too loudly. Jill stood frozen. His hands were clenched so tightly that his nails dug into his palms. But he barely noticed the sting. His chest felt tight, his mind drowning in a single crushing thought. "I couldn't do anything." A shaky breath escaped him before he whispered, "How useless am I?" The others turned sharply, startled. Jill let out a bitter chuckle, but there was no humor in it. Just frustration. Just pain. "I couldn't even take care of him at home. I couldn't stop anything from happening at the office." His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. His exhausted, red-rimmed eyes met the others. "No, Jill." A firm voice cut through. It was Member 5. His jaw was clenched, his fists trembling at his sides. His voice, thick with emotion, left no room for argument. "This isn't just on you. You're not the only one responsible." His eyes burned with guilt. "We all failed him. Every single one of us." Silence suffocated them. Another member exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "We just stood there." His voice was hollow. "We let it happen." A different voice, quiet but filled with frustration, spoke next. "We should have done something." His fingers curled into a fist. "Anything." A chair scraped against the floor as another member stood abruptly, his breathing unsteady. "We always say we'll stand by him. That will protect him." His voice wavered. "But when it actually mattered, we did nothing." The weight of failure pressed down on them, a crushing force they couldn't escape. Jill swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "If we couldn't protect him here, then how will we ever protect him in front of the whole world?" In court, no one answered, because deep down, they all feared the same thing. If they didn't act now, they might never get another chance.